He does it when I'm moving. See, look, it sputters. I mean, the engine's fine, it's just the gauge. I guess whatever signal is picking up from the distributor. Welcome back to the channel, guys, and we have made some important headway with our GSR swapped EG. For the most part, everything is done. Very few little things need to be done to get it perfect, and yeah, it does need an engine bay cleaning. My gosh, this is dirty. But we are right there, and actually today we are going to get the exhaust welded up because I don't know if you guys heard in the last couple videos, it's open header. So let's get on. Now, actually, my plans for the exhaust was, because if you guys aren't familiar with the 1.5, it comes with a puny little exhaust. I mean, I can wrap my whole hand around this. And that was never going to allow the GSR to run right. So what I did was got some cheap headers. I bought this extremely cheap, nasty looking fart can from eBay. It was like 125 bucks. And I figured, all right, you know what I'm gonna do? Get the pipe, because it's a bigger pipe diameter. We're gonna just cut and modify and put a real exhaust on it. And that's where this comes into play. This is a 2006 Honda Civic SI muffler, stock muffler. But my friend had it on his EKB20 and no rasp, no drone, no fart can noises. But it gave a good sound with a like normal resonator, and this thing has a normal resonator. I'm gonna keep it. Ooh, almost forgot the muffler tip. I gotta get that. Right now she's just open header, and if you can see, that pipe is disgusting. It like hangs low over there. It doesn't line up. Yeah, it doesn't come in contact with the header. About like an inch half short. So I was originally just gonna run it and just grit my teeth with the noise for a little bit. But yeah, no, we gotta do something about this, and we're doing that today. So without further ado, let's wake the neighbors. It's pretty loud even inside the cabin, but soon enough we will get to weld this whole thing up. And yeah, that check engine light is on because of it doesn't think that there's coolant sense. I don't know. I gotta fix that. Well, let's get on the road. They're probably gonna have to do a full fab of the exhaust because listen to this. And it's kind of mounted up, but gosh, this thing's just terrible. And yes, she is idling high, but we figured that out in the last short I posted, that the throttle body gasket is a piece of crap and it is allowing air to leak through. So watch that short if you haven't seen it already, but we got a thermal gasket on the way and that should seal it up nice and neat. Hey! If you haven't already gone to, head to bobbybelts.com, get yourself a shirt, sticker, some nice merch. You're doing a very, very good thing in supporting the channel. Okay, thanks, love you, bye. I'm actually excited to get this whole thing welded up. I can actually drive it on the road for the first time. I got the speedo to work. It had 3 vehicle speed sensors and none of them worked. I just reused the one from the EG and it works pretty good. Another good thing about a quieter exhaust is I can actually hear if there's bad noises going on. All I hear now is that window was open. Jeez. Well, all right, and it's welded up. Oh, they did a great job. And now I did drive it away from the face. I didn't want to film in front of it, but now we'll start it up and let you guys listen to it. Yep, stock as hell. I actually think Rock Auto may have gave me the wrong exhaust. It might be restrictive. See, I originally ordered a 06, 07, I think the FGFA, I think those are the right Civic exhaust, the SI, the K20. And when it came, well, the guy modified it, but the piping was really small. And I was like, oh, I don't know if this is correct. So, but you know what? It's fine. It will deter me from ripping on this because loud exhausts make me want to go fast. Which is fine because it brings me to the next point of this video. Breaking in a new motor. You never want to use a new motor breaking in. It's kind of commonplace. Everybody should kind of know that if you're thinking about rebuilding a motor. Enough of me talking and sitting here while this thing idles high. So, let's get on the road. I'm not going to show you exactly what I mean. Okay, now breaking in a freshly built motor, and hope you don't mind that whirring. Just found out the alternator bearing is not doing so hot, but we'll change that later. It'll be fine for now. When you first rebuild a motor, yeah, of course you don't want to bang on it. You don't want to beat it up. So in my case, every motor is going to be a little bit different on how you break it in. I didn't do pistons, I didn't do connecting rods, crank. I did bearings, piston rings, seals, new water pump, new oil pump, things around that line. So basically, what you want to do before you do anything, putting the motor in, you put the motor in, everything's ready to go, start up. Of course, check your oil. You don't want to run it with no oil. And then what you're going to want to do is try priming it. So if you can disconnect the spark and the fuel so it doesn't turn over automatically, and just let that that oil pump circulate through the motor for a couple cranks, that's, I mean, it's beneficial. So you're not doing a complete dry start off of a just rebuild motor. Then, depending if you have cams, that's going to be a different thing. If you do new cams, you want to listen to what the manufacturer of the camshaft will tell you, because there's a break-in point for the cams. Sometimes you'll have to hold idle at 2,000 to 3,000, fluctuate these, 15 minutes here and so on. That's basically the rule of thumb with camshafts. But if you're doing just a stock rebuild, what you'll want to do is idle it for a little bit, check for leaks, do your due diligence, and then you get it on the road. Basically what I'm doing now. So I've reset my trip odometer. I've got 4 miles on this thing so far. And thanks to now having a quiet exhaust, I can actually hear if there's any issues. We found out that the alternator might be on its way out because you hear that whirring. Other than that, she drives fine, goes into every gear. I'm in 5th right now, just hanging out. We have a high idle, but we knew that. Getting the throttle body gasket for that. So yeah, you wanna keep it at low revs. You wanna granny shift this thing. 50% throttle is probably the max you'll ever want to go with this, and just bring it up to like 3 grand, bring it to a next gear, coast with it, get it on the highway, do normal speeds, do not beat on it. You do that for about 500 to 1,000 miles, get the break-in oil. I'm using a zinc additive. I've never used it before. I've heard good things about having a zinc additive, that it helps lubricity. And then after that, you want to increase it just like a little bit. The next oil change, you want to run break-in oil for about, a lot of people to tell you different things. I heard some people say 100 miles. I think that's a little too much, depending on the rebuild, I guess. For me, I'm going to take it probably to at least 500 miles. We'll see. And then, actually, I'll go forward a little bit. So I'll bring it up to 3. Sounds good and healthy. Bring it back down. We're in 4th. I don't know why it's doing that. RPMs are jumping, but I don't think that's a big concern. I really hope not. I think it's just might be the distributor. We'll see. It's idling fine though. It's not the motor doing that. That's electronics. I am running the stock distributor and the one that the guy gave me with the motor and the stock alternator. And Hondas from this age they're known to do that. They're known to have those go bad. They're common problems. Plus they're old. So you should take that for granted. Just normal driving right now. Do that for the first couple, like I said, 500 to 1,000 miles. Then you get a little bit more. In my case, I'm not going to go to VTEC until I get this thing with a new oil in it and break that 500 to 1,000 mile limit. Then you graduate. You do a little more pulls. Nothing too strenuous. You do want to seat the rings, and a lot of people say when seating the rings, you want to put a load into them. Not a crazy load, especially on this low mileage. But yeah, you don't want to be out the gate with this thing and really force it through the gears. But that's a little load. She feels great. She has plenty of power. She's healthy, no noises. I think we did good with this motor swap. But yeah, and you get up to highway speeds. This is kind of like highway right now, so we're doing 45. I got a bad wheel bearing. That's another noise I need to take care of. Should have did that before the swap, but this is great. Other than what the hell's going on over there, pretty sure that's just distributor. Maybe I'll source a new distributor and a new alternator and just knock that out the park. It's not jumping like crazy, but if it's bringing the wrong information, especially when I'm going to go into VTEC, it'll screw up things. Because the computer relies off RPMs, oil pressure, and please don't crash into me, and that stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know. It's I'd follow your repair manual if you're modifying the motor. Check forms for the specific motor that you're rebuilding. A lot of people will give you updates on what to do and what not to do, and then enjoy your new motor swap or rebuild. You'll if you do these generic steps and follow pinpoint steps to what your car's doing, you'll have a healthy motor that will last you a long time. So I'm gonna have some fun with this. Thank you guys for watching my video, and I'll see you all later.